Hey, this is Trevor at the Bunker. We have a special edition of the Bunker News. Today we're going to be talking about social disparity, or in layman's terms, corporate welfare versus food stamps.
Trapped in the bunker, trapped in the bunker. I get Trevor the signal like Sergeant, let me record, and I'll be trapped in the bunker until I'm ready for war.
Hey, this is Trevor at the Bunker. We have a special edition of the Bunker News. Today we're going to be talking about social disparity, or in layman's terms, corporate welfare versus food stamps, and kind of the way all of that stuff works together. And to explain it to us, we have Democrat Joe Canarecci, Councilman at Large for Mishawaka.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here. I've known you for a number of years, and I can tell you that I'm just enthused that you're willing to take time and explain some of this stuff to people.
I think it's pretty important that we start talking about these issues because, first of all, this younger generation, these are our problems.
Yes.
We can't count on anybody else to solve it.
We've inherited some problems from the older guys, and you younger guys got to get it sorted. That's for sure.
Well, not just me. Everybody's got to work together and collaborate on some of these things. So first of all, I do just want to break this out.
Okay.
I am not an economist. I'm not a political scientist.
Right.
I don't have a college degree in this stuff.
You aren't an economist, but here's the fact: you are a representative, and you have access to accurate information, and that's one of the most important things. That's why I was so thrilled that you decided to come. And the fact that you're not an economist and you're not a college, degree holder for economy, to me, means that you're going to kind of more tell it like it is without, getting into loopholes and all that stuff. So I'm thrilled that we have you here.
And it's a complex issue that we're going to try and break it down, so people can understand some stuff. But I just want to make clear that, there's lots of very educated people that still don't grasp these things very well. So let's talk about welfare. Let's talk about food stamps.
Right. The SNAP, TANF.
Yeah, we got a couple few major programs. SNAP, food stamps.
Right.
You got TANF, which essentially translates into welfare.
Right.
And the extra credit you get on your tax refund, that's the earned income tax credit.
Right. EITC and ETC.
Yeah, and these programs plus some other additional little goofy things, they total about $280 billion annually.
$280 billion. So, just case in point, if you are on the food stamp program or know someone that's on the food stamp program, that is the total amount of dollars spent per year, $280 billion, giving people welfare, food stamps,
right.
And then earned income credit, so on and so forth.
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to make sure that we had an understanding.
I think one thing, I'd like to maybe try and break some stereotypes. I want to talk about who's actually on these programs.
Okay.
One thing that kind of surprises people, a lot of people try and turn this into a minority issue or
right.
Young people issue and things like that. You're looking at usually about, it varies annually, but maybe as many as 40% white people, 25% African American people, 10% Latinos, Hispanics. 40% white. Most of the memes that I see on Facebook always make it sound like the only recipients of food stamps are blacks and Latinos, and it seems like they prey on people's gullibility and thinking that if they take away food stamps, they're actually just going to be hurting the communities of blacks and Latinos, which is not the case. This is an American problem.
That's right. It's an American problem. It faces Americans.
The other thing is, this is a program that benefits nearly half the beneficiaries of children.
Right.
Minorities. So
it's feeding kids.
We got to be careful about how we address some of these things.
Absolutely.
You don't want hungry children in our
country. And how many people are on the SNAP, TANF?
It's been over 40 million pretty much every year since 2008.
Right. SNAP right now currently, according to 2013, 47 million Americans. Yeah. So this is a lot of hungry Americans, 40% of which are white. Then you said 25% black. And then what was the other ones?
You got about 10% of these people are Hispanic, Latino, Mexicans, and 25% of people either are some other...
Right, OTW is what they used to call it in California, other than white.
Other than white.
OTW,
Yeah, or they didn't want to tell.
Right. There you go.
And another, this is an interesting little side note. As many as 30% or more of those people were employed. They were actively employed while receiving aid. These are people,
so these are not lazy people. And what was the percentage on that?
Over 30%.
So over 30% of welfare recipients actually have jobs.
Yeah.
So these are people that are working and just need help to make it.
And they're making money, just not crossing that finish line. So
right.
I mean, I think that really brings into we got to discuss.
It does.
Why
is this
million
right? Why are 47 million Americans in such dire need of help?
What do you think, man?
I think that inflation is probably one of the biggest reasons for
inflation. It's a number, or it's a word people hear all the time, and
right.
it deserves a little bit of a definition. First of all, really quickly, 1980. I'm going to use that number because that's close to when I was born. 1980, minimum wage is $3.10.
Yep, sure was.
So I wasn't working then, but
I was.
and now we're up to $7.25. That sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds good.
But then we got to talk about what is inflation, and what that is. Every year, and anybody that's been buying groceries, every year there is a increase in the cost of goods and services.
Right. It's a growth.
It's just going to happen no matter what you do. And it's not usually huge, 1-2%. It's a natural thing in an economy. It's not bad.
No.
The problem is when your wages don't grow at the same rate that your goods and services increase in cost.
Right.
Let's take that 310 in 1980.
Okay.
If you extrapolate that out, if you take an inflation calculator and you put that into money now, that's nearly $9.
Right.
Okay. So you've gotten a pay cut.
Right. Because inflation has been moving at a faster pace than minimum wage. So what has happened is, even though that the number is higher, the value of that number is actually lower, right? Because you said in 1980, when it was $3.10, if you were to use the formula for calculating the growth or inflation, that would be roughly $9 and change today, yes?
$8.91.
$8.91, but the actual minimum wage is $7-something.
$7.25.
So that's a significant difference. So people are doing more, really they're working for actually less because of inflation, and people not taking into consideration that you have to be at least moving as fast as inflation if you don't want to be left behind.
One of the things you hear, and we talk about memes,
Right.
People are lazy now. I mean, right?
Yes.
Right. Worker productivity's up, depending on the number you look at, 50, 60, 70%.
Right.
In that same time period since 1980.
Right. Productivity is up. So
what's that mean?
Well, to me, what it means is that if you are a business owner and you are making a product where you used to be able to make 100 a day, if you're up 60%, you would be able to get 160 of these things made a day, but you're paying less to the employee, so your profit margin is higher because inflation is working to your favor.
Yeah.
As far as if you're the business owner. But if you're the person working for the person who owns the business, you're actually giving more for less, which to me is backwards.
It used to be our wages were directly tied to how much we produced, which seems very fair. You shouldn't get paid more than you work.
Right. You should just get an even fair wage. I agree with that.
So I think that's one of the key things. When people are talking about asking for more money, they're really asking to get back to level.
And that's it, because everybody's operating within this deficit hole. And it's something that definitely needs to change, because I have many friends. I have friends that are super rich. I have friends that are rich. I have friends in the middle class, and I have friends in even the poor class. And some of the stuff that I see people going through who are trying to work, like have a job at Walmart or whatever, they're working 40 hours a week and they can't even afford groceries and to pay their rent on a full-time job and getting benefits from food stamps. And it's staggering that people are having to work 40 hours a week and can't even have a home.
It's not what America's about.
No.
you got to kind of look at where's some of that money going.
Right.
Um,
Besides the owner of the business pockets.
right. So, first we talked about maybe assuming that people are lazy. And okay, so we've kind of proven empirically with numbers. Okay, these are
Right.
trends. They're not, but maybe they're not as educated. One of the things I see. Why did you get a degree?
Because it takes money to get a degree.
If you want to be that 1% of earners, though, you
Right.
should have got a degree. Couldn't you have just gone to college? That's a metric that needs to be looked at too, though. It's difficult to get an education now.
It is, and it's costly.
I like this 1980 number.
Me too. I think it's a good place to start.
Back then, you want to go to college, get a 4-year degree. You might spend $2,000, $2,500 in a year.
Wow.
To on a 4-year degree path.
Right.
And that's excluding room, board, and things like that.
Right.
But we got that $3.10. That's what we were making back then.
Right.
So I'll do the math for you. That's 14 hours a week that you got to work at your minimum wage job to pay for college.
Okay, that seems reasonable.
You can do that.
Yeah, you can do that. 15 hours a week as a student.
Going full time?
Yep.
Sure.
That's doable.
Now.
Yeah, what is it now? I'm
now,
afraid to ask.
You're looking at, and again, this is just your tuition. You haven't bought books.
Right. You haven't bought books. You haven't
You
bought
have a place to stay.
Exactly.
You're looking at in excess of 25 hours a week.
Okay.
And that's why we have a student loan crisis.
Yeah, I pay a lot of money. I've never missed a student loan payment. I'm still paying on student loans. And it is difficult sometimes to meet those obligations, especially when money isn't worth what it used to be. Jobs aren't worth what they used to be. And the reason why this is being perpetrated, and I feel like it's a perpetration because obviously numbers don't lie. And the numbers say that we're being taken advantage of. But the average person just doesn't understand that, $9 or $7 seems like it's more than $3. But in fact, the fair wage would be 9 something. Like here in Indiana, we have this wage where they can pay waitresses and waiters. Like it's something ridiculous. It's like less than $3 an hour or something.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you go to California, if the minimum wage is $12 an hour and you're waiting tables, you get minimum wage plus your tips. I don't understand why it differs here. It's a minimum wage, and how are people supposed to survive? I think it's like $2.35 an hour or something for a waitress or a waiter.
One thing that some wait staff don't know
Right.
is that your minimum compensation, your pay, does need to translate to at least minimum wage.
That's right. Between tips and hourly wage, you have to at least be paid.
And if you're not getting there, your employer is responsible for the gap.
That's right. Some people just don't even know they're supposed to make up a gap.
And that's where we need to get to.
Yes, we do.
That's what I want to talk about. I'm not the only elected official, or I'm not the only representative from government that's willing to talk to people, and
right.
And people need to learn that we are your representative. We represent you.
I'm really hoping that we get somebody from South Bend to come talk to us next.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I think that it's important. How do you feel we're going to be able to combat the inflation versus minimum wage issue? Do the Democrats have a plan for that?
Yeah, and I think you hear about it a lot. I think
what is the plan? It just in layman's terms and very quick. I mean,
we need to give workers fair compensation. We need to get people paid.
Right.
And what we're seeing in our states, in our country, in our cities, is erosion of worker rights.
Yeah.
And this I'm gonna
right to work state, right?
We are in a right to work state, which means the right to get paid less.
Right.
Okay.
Because they want to break unions, so that people get paid less.
And people think unions are these terrible things.
They're not. My father, worked in the construction workers union, and he is very bad off. He's got bad hips. He's got arthritis. He can barely move. But if it wasn't for the money that the carpenters union put away for my father, he wouldn't be able to afford to go and get the massages that allow him once in a while to go get a game of golf in so that he can do something that he likes. And without that money that came from the carpenters union, I can assure you that it would have been a lot less shoes for me and my brother. It would have been less food. So I am all about unions.
you work hard, you deserve to be compensated.
Exactly.
That's it.
And if you've been doing it a long time and you're efficient at it, you should get paid more than a person that isn't as efficient.
Absolutely.
I think people should get paid upon merit. And then if you're meeting the requirements of your job and you've been there for 10 or 15 years, you obviously through seniority should be getting a nice wage. But that stuff is all kind of left. In the 1950s, you'd go to high school, you'd go to college, you'd work a place for 20 years. There is no...
You could pay for a family.
Yeah.
You could have a vacation.
Yeah.
You may
one
have a
vacation every year, but
sure.
you'd have a nice, home, 2-point whatever kids.
American living.
Right, exactly.
We need to get back there. And
I agree.
I think the shortest path is fair compensation. How do you get fair compensation?
That's the bear.
That's a tough one. But I think one of the things we're looking at, we got to raise the minimum wage, and we got to at least get it back to what it should be.
Right, which is $8.91, I think you said.
That would put you back to level.
That would put you back to level. But if you wanted to see an increase, I personally think that minimum wage should be about $12 an hour. And I think that should be wherever you live, unless you're in San Francisco or something like that, where $12 an hour.
That's part of the conversation that's totally lacking too. Yeah, because you see the $15 an hour argument, and $15 goes pretty far here in Mishawaka.
Right, but
it's going to take you a whole different place.
Not in San Francisco.
Yeah, where we are at the bottom, it isn't high enough.
No, it isn't.
But we've also, and that's when you don't even look at the costs. I mean, you look at your costs of living, which are excluded. I mean, healthcare is skyrocketed.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was just reading an article that manufacturers here in the United States bottle the same medication in the same packages, send it to Canada, and it's literally, in some cases, 900% cheaper, same exact product that's being sold here, being sold there. And it's greed.
And these pharmaceutical companies are running a business and they're offering a service, and they also deserve fair compensation.
9,000% markup isn't a fair compensation.
There's got to be somewhere in the middle. There's got to be somewhere in the middle.
Yes, it needs to be something that works for everybody. I don't think people should have to work 40 years and then be told, oh, well, we can't fix your teeth, ma'am. We're just going to have to pull them all out and give you false teeth, because even though you paid into Social Security, you paid into all these programs. See, the problem is that we just don't want to pay for your teeth because, well, we have other things to do with your money. So, you're going to be eating your steaks through a blender. And this stuff actually happens. People are literally told that they can't get their teeth fixed that have been paying into these programs, and it really upsets me.
We lack advocacy for a lot of the people, and that's...
We do, for the poor and for the elderly, for sure.
And there's great people trying.
Yes, there are. There are.
But we need somebody to step up and make some of these tough calls. Right now, we're looking at... You brought up corporate welfare.
Right, corporate welfare. And a lot of people aren't familiar with this. This is a real thing, okay? Corporate welfare is just like welfare for people who get TANF and stuff, but it's welfare to corporations. And this is a really strange concept to me.
It is strange. It's complicated. It's not just welfare, because some of these... Welfare is a social service provided by everybody to make sure that nobody is hungry or homeless, or we want to lift people up to a minimum level.
Right, because we say that in America, anything below this standard is unacceptable, so that we try to have programs to bring people that are not up to an acceptable level to an acceptable level.
Now, in a free market, corporate welfare, we're not concerned about how an individual company does, but you do want to subsidize certain markets to create growth.
Right.
And that's smart. You want to develop resources. We want a good energy sector, so we want to develop oil.
Right.
But
in my opinion, we should be developing solar farming.
Sure, absolutely. But until we get there, we still need a reliable source of energy.
Absolutely.
Do you think big oil needs money, though?
No.
From your taxes?
I don't think that big oil deserves any money from your taxes. And
or those drug companies?
No, I don't think they do either, because you said the budget, I believe, for the food stamp program, which is TANF, the earned income credit and all that, I think we said, what was it, $280 billion.
Yeah.
What is the What is the budget for corporate welfare where we're actually just giving companies, multi-million-dollar companies, money from the taxpayer's pocket? What's the budget on that?
Again, there's not a line item. If you go look at the budget, there's not a line item.
You can just kind of add everything that kind of goes out.
In excess of $1 trillion.
So I've even seen things as high as 1.5 trillion. So the corporate welfare budget is roughly 20 times what the food stamp program and earned income credit. A lot of times when I see these memes, people make it sound like that it's the opposite. Like businesses are only getting 280 billion and people are getting 1.5 trillion. But the fact of the matter is that there's a lot of different things that have caused this to happen, such as corporations having rights like citizens, laws in place to make sure that if you're not doing the absolute thing to squeeze the absolute most amount of money out of your work group and your profit margin, then you're doing less than what you're supposed to, and you can lose your job and people can be sued. There's all kinds of underlying problems to this. But the fact that we're willing to spend $1.5 trillion, and some of this money is given to the richest, most profitable businesses that you can think of, oil, pharmaceutical.
Yeah.
These are people making money hand over fist that we're giving money to the taxpayer. The average taxpayer is giving tax money to companies that are not only making millions and billions of dollars, but some of them don't even pay taxes.
Well, and that's how some of the corporate welfare totals are configured. It's not necessarily money that came out of the federal budget,
right?
But it's money that didn't come into it, because of tax loopholes. And I can't afford a tax attorney.
I saw,
so I end up paying taxes, but they have teams of people that find these loopholes, and we need to work on closing those loopholes.
I saw something not that long ago. It was talking, I think, about General Electric, who turned like $1 trillion profit and then didn't pay any taxes on it.
Right.
Are you serious?
GE is one that you super count.
Yeah. So to me, like, what should be the tax off $1 trillion? What the average tax rate is 30%. So 30% of $1 trillion. What kind of money is that?
A few hundred million.
Okay.
Billion.
Yeah. And that right there. There's your there's a big chunk out of that 1.5 trillion.
You got to be careful because it's important that we grow business. We want a business
but
healthy environment.
You don't need to grow business as far as oil. Oil's big enough. What we need to be doing is spending money on businesses. Well, first and foremost, we need to be spending more money on education. Secondly, we need to spend more money developing other ways to get power. Oil is old school thinking. And it's old money. There's nothing wrong with old money. Everybody's entitled to what they've made. But everybody, if you don't make changes constantly, things cannot evolve. You cannot have evolution without change.
We lead the world economy. If we want to continue to do that, we need to innovate. And we want the greatest innovators in the world. And,
that's right.
And
it used to be a country full of statesmen and self-educated, taught inventors in the United States. Thomas Edison, of course, we brought Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla already figured out free energy, but you know what? Westinghouse wasn't having it, and they're that way.
We just need to enrich the environment to get back to that innovative.
And education is the first place, because if people don't know how to think, then how are they going to learn how to be inventive?
That's a whole set.
It's crazy. It is.
The education.
Sorry, I'm bringing up extra stuff.
Yeah, that's a big topic. That's a big topic.
But anybody that will tell you that food stamps cost taxpayers more than corporate welfare is out of their minds.
I'll speak personally here.
Okay.
Getting away from the numbers too.
Okay.
I'll gladly see some point of my check go to pay for a family that's needy.
Absolutely.
And I know that there are people that game the system.
Of course.
But that's not the majority.
But there's people in Washington that game the system.
Absolutely.
You're always going to have somebody that abuses a program or abuses a system, just like corporations abuse systems to make more profit. There are people that want to maximize the amount of food stamp money.
Ironically, you say abuse systems to make profit.
Yes.
But when you write a letter to their shareholders, it's good business.
And here's the thing. what is it, a symbiotic relationship here between the people and the businesses.
Absolutely.
And you can't be all for the corporations and not for the people, because the corporations wouldn't exist without the people. There's a lot of power with people, but people don't understand how to exercise their power.
Can't go shopping if we're not getting paid.
That's right. You can't go shopping if you're not getting paid.
Let's look at Carrier. It's been in the news. You see that?
Briefly, but I'm not
They
educated.
manufacture air conditioning and stuff.
Right.
It's an Indiana company based
Right.
largely in Indianapolis. They're laying off in total over 2,000 people.
That is a lot of people to lose their jobs. So there's 2,000 more people that are probably
It's a
going to need
very
help.
profitable company.
Right.
It's a successful, profitable company. They don't need to do this to make money. They worked hard.
Yeah.
They made their company lots of money.
Exactly.
They were doing their job, and their jobs got sent to Mexico.
Right.
These were $20 an hour plus jobs.
Right.
That are now going to become $3 to $6 an hour
Right.
jobs in Mexico.
Right.
$3 an hour, man.
Right. $3 an hour. We've had kind of a long interview here, and I just want you to end it up and sum up to the folks out there. Just let them hear the truth.
These are complicated issues, and in the time that we've had here, you know, it's not even scratching the surface.
No.
But I think what I hope what this serves to do is point out that these are real issues. The solutions aren't clear. But what you can do, and what everyone should do, is step out, get somehow involved.
Right.
Get involved with your community. Get involved with your local political organizations. Right. Become part of the solution. Even if it's a very small part of the solution, get out and make your voice heard, because this is us.
Yep.
This is a problem that we're not going to solve today. So we need to solve it tomorrow. But the tomorrow is it's us.
It is, because you know what, this is the other thing that you know, I've made some really big changes to my life over the past couple of years, and one of the things that you have to stay focused on is there is no tomorrow. You only have today, right now. And if you're not taking today, right now, right this very second, you need to be doing something that's moving you forward to get you into a better position, so that when you wake up tomorrow, and it's now again after your sleep, because all we really have is now, that you're in a better position than you were the day before. And that has totally escaped people, I think. I just don't see people doing the things. When I was a kid, people were making it.
I think it looks hard.
It is hard.
It is hard.
It is hard. And it's you know, we're the greatest nation, and you know, everybody says all that, but it's like,
we're out here to listen, though.
If we were truly the greatest nation, we would have the most educated populace on the face of the planet, because if you have, how many Americans are there? How many people in America?
350-ish?
350
million.
If you have 350 million people with college educations, do you really think we would have an energy crisis right now? We've got 17-year-old kids that are out there opening miniature hospitals and stuff. I think I just saw an article where a 17-year-old kid opened up some type of a clinic. We would have a nation of people like that if we would just help them get educated.
They're out there, and there's people that are ready to listen. So if you don't know how to do it, reach out to somebody that will, because man, and it's gratifying to be part of the solution. So let's just reach out.
It's your boy Trevor. Bunker News with Joe Canarecci.
Thank you.
Peace.